Hello. Hiya.
Right.
Can we hear Chris? Jamie? One front. He's come a long way out.
2 1 2. 1 2.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
You okay?
2 2 2 2 2.
Thank you. Everybody happy? Mark, can we ask you what the one we're asking everybody? Hopefully you've been tipped off about it. FIFA are about to appoint a new president. Now we don't have to ask you about individuals, but what's the biggest priority for the person coming in? What do you want to see them address?
Well, initial thoughts on it. I think when obviously the whole story of what had been going on for years and years, when that broke surface, I think most people in football felt maybe they should break it right down and start again and have a clean sheet and clean slate to a certain extent for people who the candidates obviously I'm sure their integrity is sound, but they still seem to be the same people that were involved in FIFA before, and obviously you wonder how much was known by the current candidates. So I don't know. I think my initial reaction was that maybe they should have started from scratch, or maybe the whole of football moved away from FIFA and set up on their own. I don't know, but logistically it'd probably be difficult, but it probably would have made more sense to most people in football.
So you're concerned that not much might change?
Well, you hope. I think there's things that have been voted on this morning, I think, that in terms of reforms, so I think that's an encouraging sign. So let's hope that continues and is consistent.
Thank you for that. The club here has frozen ticket prices again for the 9th consecutive season.
Yeah.
So much discussion this season about ticket prices. You must be quite proud to be the man at the head of a club that can do that.
Absolutely. I think it's fantastic what this club's done. Once again, but over a long period of time since we've been in the Premier League. It's I think there's a real understanding of the area where the club is and the demographic of the club itself, and we know it's expensive to watch football, and I think the club and their understanding of that, I think it helps that we've got local people that own the club, understand the area and the problems at times of the area of people who need to find money to come to football matches. So we're very sensitive to that, and I think that's showed by obviously the club freezing prices once again.
We've been told that might make it more likely, because of the way season tickets are going, that the corner is filled in. From a manager's perspective, if you filled that corner in where the scoreboard is and had more seats there, would you be in favour of that? Can it make it an even more hostile atmosphere, do you think, for the teams that come in?
I think there's a lot of talk. I think it's more to do with having a full stadium. I think the club really wants to promote the stadium being full for every game. For the most part, I think for almost every game this year we've been sold out. We will be at the weekend again. So that shows that the demand is there. There's no point building when you haven't got that demand. It seems like now is the time to do it. I'm not privy to any decisions in that regard, but I think obviously the more people you can get in, hopefully on your side, will obviously help come Saturdays when you're playing games.
I won't call it a holiday. How was because you know you were very keen to make sure it wasn't termed a holiday. How was the trip to Dubai? Because you worked pretty hard to get there as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a good time. We had 4 really good sessions while we were out there, and I just think at this time of the year it's really difficult to have that training time on the pitch when it's blowing a gale and conditions aren't great. You find yourself scurrying into buildings just to get out the wind and the rain and try and get yourself warm again, and it's a different attitude to work. I think when you're in warm weather, then you stay out a little bit longer, you do a little bit more work, you do or have the ability to have more conversations one-on-one, because people are more inclined to stay out and you have that opportunity. So all in all, you just have more time on the training ground, and that was the key from my point of view. I think it was really positive thing that we've done. We've always benefited from it. I've done it here on a number of occasions, and almost every other club I've been to, and I've always, give or take a couple of times, always had a positive reaction for it, and fully hope or anticipate that that's what we'll have again.
I thought it might give you the chance to get some injured players back, but the news from Ryan Shawcross isn't good, is it?
Yeah, we hoped we might have been able to get a couple of them back. Ryan's just not quite there. He's progressing slowly, but he's progressing. That's the key thing. He hasn't plateaued. So the important thing from his point of view is that he can see day on day that he's improving and getting closer to a return. But I think he's been, and rightly so, he needs to be careful. And I think he wants to come back fit, strong and ready to go, and make sure that he's available for all the games from now, or from the point when he does return to the end of the season, and that's his goal. So we fully support him on that.
I know it's a separate injury. It's different to the one he had an operation on his disc, and we've talked about that a lot. But do you have concerns that he's now reaching that age? And I don't mean it nastily in any way to dismiss him, but do you have concerns you might not be able to use him as much over coming seasons? Maybe you won't get 30 games.
He's that old, is he? How old is he?
28, isn't he? It's not that old. What I'm saying is he's had a lot of injury problems this season.
Yeah.
That kind of lasts as well. Do you have concerns that you might not be able to use him and rely on him as much as you have?
No. I think this was just a consequence. Obviously, it's not the issue that he had before, which was obviously a concern when he's had this injury. It's completely different injuries. So I just think it was a consequence of the period that we went through when he did come back against Chelsea in the Capital One Cup. I think was his first game back after the operation. From that period to where we are now, we've come through a lot of really high intensity, high level games, a lot of games in a short period of time, and I think that's just compromised him, unfortunately. But I don't think long term there's any concern in terms of managing his game time. I think he will always have a good number of games in any given season, but certainly, I mean, we'll be more mindful if he gets twinges or whatever. Then we'd be silly not to register them and make sure that we're aware of them and not put him in situations where he's compromised again. But I don't have any real concerns in that regard, to be perfectly honest. I think it's just an injury. It's an injury to a ligament. It's like tear. You just got to wait for it to heal. Once it heals, he'll be back.
How's Muniesa?
Money's close as well. Thought we might get him back. He's about 14 days in. Initially we thought it'd be about 10 to 14 days. It's a little bit longer. It's still got a little bit of discomfort. He's sprinting, which is a good sign. It wasn't in the belly of the muscle, so just on the outer skin of the muscle. So that's what was damaged. So you usually come back quicker from those things. But we just give him in on the side of safety. He's had a few problems with his hamstrings in the past, so those extra days might be more beneficial for him.
So he won't play?
No, he's not available at the week.
Leaves you an issue at centre back. Teixeira came on and did pretty well in the last game, though, didn't he? And I guess you've got confidence in him to take on that role again.
Yeah, we've got some options. We're pleased with Jonathan coming on. He was under a little bit of pressure, as we all were in the second half, but he stood up to that, and we were pleased from him. He was a big part of the win that we had. The thing with Jonathan is that we haven't given too many experiences as a starter, so that would be my only concern, but he's shown that he can come on to good effect if we need him. So the squad is what it is, so we've just been a little bit hampered by having a number of injuries in the same position, and we've lost 3-4 centre halves at the same time, which doesn't normally happen. But it's in the 25-man squad, you can't carry any more than the defenders that we've got at the moment. So if you do get multiple injuries or niggles, then at times you have to just manage your way through it. But we feel quite confident that whoever we pick at the weekend will be able to do the job that's asked of.
3 games in 8 days, though.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make it very easy, does it, when you're trying to manage the squad and bring people back?
No, it's come at a busy time once again. Ideally, we wouldn't be in this situation, but it's nothing of our making. It's part and parcel of getting through a season. You will get injuries. You will times when not everybody's available, and it's about being able to get through those and come out the other side still with your ambitions for the season still intact, and we think that obviously you will still be the case. We're close to getting a number of players back, so we might be a little bit stretched this weekend, but after the weekend's proceedings we should be okay.
I want to ask you about Villa. Take it back to when you were playing. Villa were a real challenge, they're a real threat at the top end of the top division. Does it sadden you to see their decline from that to where they are now?
Well, they're a well established, famous football club in Premier League. Obviously, don't think they've been relegated from the top level. Very few teams have been able to do that. So yeah, it's a period in their history that doesn't sit comfortably, I'm sure, with people connected to Aston Villa. But it's maybe, truth be known, the last couple of years they've just struggled at the wrong end, at the end of the table that you don't really expect a club of the standing of Aston Villa to be at. But that's the reality of where they found themselves, and it's maybe over a longer period than just this season that the situation has developed where they put themselves at risk, and unfortunately this season they found it more difficult to cope with the demands of the Premier League, which is, as we know, a really strong league, and you've got to be able to cope. In terms of recent form, I mean, they've obviously had a disappointment at home against Liverpool, where you can get situations like that when you're at home and you go 2-3 goals behind, and you've got to be very careful that you don't continue to chase the game, because good teams will keep on going the other end and pick you off, and that's what happened against Liverpool for them. Prior to that, I think I took note of what their manager said, and I think they picked up in terms of their recent form, so they're probably hoping that they can get back to something like they were just prior to the Liverpool game, I would think.
Like most pundits in football, though, do you think they're doomed? Do you think it's impossible?
I think it's very difficult. So you get to a point in the season where you end up running out of games, even if you can have a big swing in terms of your form and your momentum in a season. If you run out of games, it doesn't matter. And maybe they're coming to a point where they'll feel that they haven't got enough games to do it, because they'll face good sides, ourselves included, that will have ambitions of their own that they want to achieve, and they'll make it difficult for Villa to stay in the league. But they're not out of it. While they still feel that they can still stay in the league, then certainly they will have a go, and we know that. Sometimes when people write teams off and think they're tailed off and not able to do it, that releases maybe some of that tension that has been in their play. Maybe they can play with a little bit more freedom than they have done in recent weeks, but we'll have to see. But obviously from our point of view, we want to keep on making life difficult for them in the Premier League.
Thank you.
Quick one from me, Mark.
Yeah.
After the disappointment of losing in the two cup competitions, how big an opportunity is it now to get 2 games against struggling sides to get your league season back, sort of pushing forward?
Well, yeah, we feel we're on track. We looked at where we were last year when we had a record amount of points, and we were exactly the same after 26 games, exactly the same amount of points. So in terms of what we talked about at the beginning of the season, we were very, very close to the targets that we set ourselves. So our league position isn't a concern for us, because we feel we've got good opportunities coming up to add to what we've done. But obviously we've got 2 home games back to back. Seems a long time. We played Everton obviously recently, but prior to that it seemed a long time since we had a home game, and we had cup games away from home as well. So home games have been few and far between in recent weeks. So it'd be good to get back to back wins if we can. That's the aim, and obviously on the back of our last outing against Bournemouth, which was a win as well. I mean, 2 home wins on the back of a away win. You're looking at a little bit of momentum into the last 10 or so games of the season.
Okay. Any other injury problems? Is Jeff Cameron available, for example, or someone?
Jeff has had a couple of training sessions. He hasn't trained for any number of weeks, but you don't think he's likely to have a reaction. The thing with Jeff was that he had an injury that was basically about the pain that he was able to manage it. Obviously there was a long period where he had pain in the ankle that didn't allow him to train correctly or take part, but it was always a case of waiting for that pain and allowing Jeff's pain threshold to allow him to start training again, and we're at that point now. So hopefully, if not at the weekend, certainly in the games that we have next week, he'll certainly play a part, I'm sure.
How close is Ryan Shawcross to starting?
I don't think he's far away, to be perfectly honest. I think probably for his and our peace of mind, he probably feels he wants a week of training leading into a game, which is understandable. And if we can get him on the pitch early next week, hopefully, with the view to maybe the Chelsea game, I think Wednesday's game against Newcastle probably come a little bit too soon for him, but certainly don't want to put too much pressure on him. But the hope is that if he can, as I say, get that week's training under his belt, then he could very well be an option for the game against Chelsea.
Okay, thank you. Radios, please.
No problem. See you guys.
Thanks all. See you later.